The battlefield is a place of chaos and uncertainty, where victory often hangs by the thinnest of threads. Over 2,500 years ago, one man unraveled the secrets of triumph in war and life. His name? Sun Tzu. His masterpiece, The Art of War, transcends time, offering lessons not only to warriors but to strategists, leaders, and innovators in every field. But what made Sun Tzu's philosophy so powerful? It wasn't just his understanding of physical combat, it was his grasp of human nature. His strategies delved deep into psychology, foresight, and adaptability, revealing how to outmaneuver opponents before the first strike is even made. Did you know his principles have shaped history's greatest generals and even influenced global corporate strategies? From Napoleon's campaigns to modern boardroom battles, Sun Tzu's teachings are more than instructions for war. They're a roadmap for navigating challenges in any arena. But why do these lessons remain so relevant today? And what secrets lie within this ancient text that continues to inspire leaders, entrepreneurs, and even athletes? The art of war isn't just about conflict, it's about mastering life itself. Prepare to dive into this timeless wisdom, where we'll explore 15 principles that sharpen the mind, guide decisions, and transform chaos into clarity. Are you ready to uncover the power of Sun Tzu's teachings? Let's begin. Sun Tzu believed the first step to victory is understanding the battlefield. But he didn't just mean the physical terrain. He referred to the mental and strategic landscape. He famously wrote, "Know your enemy and know yourself, and you will not fear the result of 100 battles." Every battlefield tells a story. Did you know even the slightest details can decide a war's outcome? From the high grounds of Gettysburg to the dense jungles of Vietnam, terrain has often dictated strategy. Yet Sun Tzu pushed this further. He taught that the true battlefield is the mind. Understanding the morale, strengths, and weaknesses of your adversary is as vital as knowing their movements. But this principle isn't limited to war. In our daily lives, we all face metaphorical battlefields. Whether it's a business negotiation, a personal conflict, or a life-changing decision, understanding the environment and the people involved is crucial. This knowledge empowers you to anticipate moves, avoid traps, and seize opportunities. Still, here's the twist. What happens when both sides know the rules? When each commander understands the terrain and their foe, how do you gain the upper hand? That's when Sun Tzu's second great principle comes into play, the art of deception. How do you outsmart an enemy who's equally prepared? The answer lies in manipulation and misdirection. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Sun Tzu's principle of deception isn't just about trickery, it's the calculated mastery of perception. History offers countless examples of how deception has changed the course of battles. Consider the Trojan horse, a masterstroke that brought a fortified city to its knees. Sun Tzu believed deception wasn't an option, it was a necessity. He taught commanders to make their moves unpredictable, to confuse their enemies, and to create opportunities where none seemed to exist. Armies would feign retreat, only to ambush their overconfident pursuers. These weren't just strategies, they were psychological tactics that left opponents disoriented and defeated. But the power of deception extends far beyond the battlefield. In politics, leaders mislead their adversaries to gain leverage. In business, companies obscure their intentions to outmaneuver rivals. Even in personal relationships, subtle misdirection can shift dynamics in unexpected ways. Did you know Sun Tzu also emphasized that the greatest deception lies in simplicity? By making strategies appear natural or insignificant, leaders can lull their enemies into complacency before striking decisively. But what happens when deception becomes a game of cat and mouse? What if the enemy sees through your illusions? The next principle uncovers how to adapt and stay ahead of even the sharpest opponent. Sun Tzu believed that rigidity on the battlefield was a recipe for disaster. His philosophy embraced adaptability, teaching that a successful leader is one who flows like water, reshaping strategies to fit any situation. He wrote, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." This insight became the cornerstone of his teachings on flexibility. Did you know that many of history's greatest victories stemmed from commanders who abandoned their original plans in favor of responding to real-time developments? Take the Battle of Austerlitz, where Napoleon feigned weakness, only to lure his enemies into a trap. By adjusting his approach as the situation evolved, he turned near defeat into a decisive victory. But adaptability isn't just for war. It's a principle that resonates in modern life. Think about entrepreneurs who pivot their business models to meet market demands, or athletes who adjust their techniques mid-game to outwit opponents. The lesson is clear. Success requires more than preparation. It demands the ability to adapt when things don't go as planned. Sun Tzu's principle of adaptability also teaches humility. A rigid leader risks being predictable, while a flexible one becomes a moving target, impossible to pin down. But how do you master the art of adaptation without losing sight of your goals? Sometimes, to adapt means knowing when to fight and when to wait. But what happens when patience becomes the ultimate weapon? Let's explore the value of timing in the art of war. Sun Tzu wrote, "He who knows when to fight and when not to fight will be victorious." Timing, he argued, was as critical as strategy itself. A poorly timed attack, no matter how well executed, can lead to ruin, while a perfectly timed strike can dismantle even the most fortified defenses. Consider the Battle of Agincourt, where England's outnumbered forces waited for the perfect moment to unleash their longbowmen. The result? A resounding victory against all odds. Sun Tzu would have applauded such precision, as he believed that patience was often a greater weapon than sheer force. But timing isn't just about waiting, it's about preparation and awareness. In modern times, think of investors who wait for the right market conditions before making a move, or negotiators who pause at key moments to let tension build. The principle applies universally. Success belongs to those who master the rhythm of action and restraint. Yet timing requires discipline. Did you know Sun Tzu warned against acting out of anger or desperation? He taught that emotions cloud judgment, leading to impulsive decisions that often end in disaster. Only through calculated patience can one seize the right moment to strike. Sun Tzu's brilliance lay in his ability to win wars without ever fighting battles. One of his most profound principles was the art of exhaustion, weakening an enemy by sapping their strength, resources, and morale. He wrote, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." One famous example is the Fabian strategy during the Second Punic War. Roman general Fabius Maximus avoided direct confrontation with Hannibal's superior forces, instead harassing supply lines and stretching their resources thin. The result? Hannibal's army was gradually weakened, losing its advantage over time. Sun Tzu's approach to exhaustion teaches us that sometimes, the most effective way to win is to let your opponent defeat themselves. In life, this could mean outlasting competitors in a tough market or diplomatically navigating conflicts until the opposition falters. But exhaustion isn't just about patience, it's about strategy. Did you know Sun Tzu emphasized the importance of controlling your own energy while depleting your enemies? He warned leaders to avoid prolonged campaigns that drain their resources, advising instead to strike swiftly when the enemy is at their weakest. Yet, as powerful as exhaustion can be, it must be paired with another critical principle: unity. How does a divided force stand against a cohesive one? Let's uncover the secret of maintaining harmony within. In Sun Tzu's vision of warfare, a unified force is unstoppable. He believed that a leader's primary responsibility was to foster a sense of cohesion among his troops. Sun Tzu famously stated, "The greatest victory is that which requires no battle." To him, unity was the key to achieving this victory, for only through shared purpose and harmony can a group of individuals become an indomitable force. Throughout history, some of the most formidable armies were those that fought not for glory but for a collective vision. In World War II, the Allied forces exemplified this unity. Despite differences in culture, strategy, and leadership, their shared goal to defeat tyranny overcame all challenges. The result was a victory that changed the course of history. Unity, according to Sun Tzu, doesn't just mean marching in the same direction, it's about synchronizing every aspect of an operation, from leadership to morale to resources. A team that moves in harmony is capable of feats that seem impossible. But how do you build such cohesion when everyone has their own agenda? Did you know that Sun Tzu stressed the importance of leading by example? A divided force will always struggle, but a leader who demonstrates integrity and commitment inspires those around him. The strength of unity is born not just from aligning goals but from fostering trust and respect. But what happens when external forces try to divide and conquer? What happens when unity is tested by treachery? Let's explore the delicate balance between trust and suspicion in leadership. One of the most powerful strategies in the art of war is the use of surprise. Sun Tzu emphasized that the element of surprise could make the difference between victory and defeat, for an unprepared enemy is the easiest to defeat. He wrote, "Attack him where he is unprepared, appear where you are not expected." This principle isn't just about creating confusion, it's about exploiting the enemy's vulnerabilities when they least anticipate it. Take, for example, the famous Battle of Midway in 1942 during World War II. The United States, despite being outnumbered and facing a seemingly unbeatable Japanese fleet, turned the tide of the Pacific War by launching a surprise attack on the Japanese carriers. The Japanese had no idea that the American forces knew their plans, and by catching them off guard, the U.S. Navy inflicted devastating damage that changed the course of the war. In the business world, the element of surprise can be just as transformative. Consider how companies like Apple have revolutionized industries with unexpected product launches. When the iPhone debuted in 2007, it surprised the tech world by combining a phone, music player, and internet browser into one device. Competitors were left scrambling to catch up. But how do you prepare for a surprise attack when your enemy is always adapting? What happens when your own forces are caught in the web of lies? Let's uncover the consequences of trust betrayed. Although Sun Tzu emphasized the power of deception, he also cautioned against the dangers of misplaced trust. Loyalty is essential, but betrayal can come from unexpected places. Keep your friends close, and your enemies closer, Sun Tzu wrote, highlighting the fine line between trust and suspicion. The greatest leaders understood that while deception was crucial on the battlefield, maintaining loyalty within their own ranks was equally vital. Think of the infamous story of Julius Caesar's assassination. While Caesar trusted those closest to him, including Brutus, it was his blind faith in their loyalty that led to his downfall. This betrayal proved that even the most strategic mind must be cautious of the internal dangers that can arise. In the modern world, this principle plays out in corporate espionage and international diplomacy. Leaders must balance transparency with caution, understanding that trust, while necessary, can also leave them vulnerable. Did you know that many corporate giants, like Apple and Google, face internal betrayals and espionage attempts? It's a constant battle of trust versus suspicion. Sun Tzu didn't just teach us how to fight external battles, he also taught us to manage the delicate balance of relationships within our own ranks. True leadership is about ensuring that loyalty is earned and never assumed. But what happens when the leader learns to anticipate betrayal before it strikes? What happens when deception is not just used against others but used to protect one's own people? Let's examine how a leader can prepare for the inevitable chaos that comes with war. Sun Tzu's teachings on leadership emphasize one core principle above all: adaptability. A great leader must not only command their forces but also understand the changing tides of battle. The ability to pivot in response to new information, evolving strategies, and unforeseen circumstances is the true mark of mastery. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting, Sun Tzu asserted, hinting that flexibility, rather than rigidity, is what leads to victory. Imagine a modern battlefield, whether it's a financial crisis or a sudden military conflict. When faced with shifting circumstances, leaders must adapt their strategies to fit the evolving situation. In business, this is why companies that remain too entrenched in traditional methods often lose to competitors who can quickly innovate and adjust. Did you know that some of the most successful tech companies, like Microsoft and IBM, rose to power because of their ability to adapt to new markets and opportunities? The companies that survive and thrive do so because they embrace change rather than resist it. Sun Tzu's principles still resonate with today's leaders, not just in military operations but in nearly every facet of life. Flexibility is vital in the face of a fast-paced and unpredictable world. What happens when a leader clings too rigidly to a plan and fails to adapt? Often, they find themselves blindsided by forces they could have anticipated. Yet, there's a thin line between strategic adaptation and indecisiveness. How can you be sure that you're adapting in the right direction? The next segment will dive into how critical timing is in executing these changes. Timing is everything, according to Sun Tzu. A leader's ability to strike when the moment is right often decides the outcome of a conflict. Opportunities multiply as they are seized, he said, stressing the significance of knowing when to act and when to wait. In the world of warfare, waiting for the perfect moment can make the difference between success and disaster. But how does one truly know when that moment arrives? The answer lies in mastering the art of observation and calculation. Take the Battle of Midway, for example, where U.S. Navy forces, although outnumbered, waited patiently for the right moment to strike. When the Japanese Navy, overconfident and unaware of the American fleet's position, opened an opportunity, American forces pounced. The entire tide of the Pacific War shifted, and the battle became a turning point in the global conflict. Timing was their most effective weapon. In the business world, timing is just as crucial. Think of the dot-com bubble of the 1990s. Companies like Amazon and Google didn't just succeed because of innovation. They succeeded because they entered the market at the perfect time, just as the internet was transforming from a niche tool to a global phenomenon. Sun Tzu's teaching on timing goes beyond just acting when opportunities arise. It's about preparation, always being ready to move, while also remaining patient. True leadership understands the value of patience and how crucial it is to act swiftly when the time is right. But what happens when you act too early or wait too long? When does the perfect moment slip away from your grasp? Let's uncover the balance between patience and action in the next segment. One of the most powerful forces in both war and life is momentum. Sun Tzu understood that once you've gained an advantage, it's crucial to keep the pressure on. He wrote, "The momentum of a battle is like a rolling stone. Once it starts, there's no stopping it." In essence, momentum is the driving force behind an unstoppable victory. It's what carries an army to the gates of the enemy's fortress and what pushes a startup to dominate a new market. Consider the blitzkrieg tactics used by Nazi Germany during World War II. With lightning-fast maneuvers and relentless aggression, the German forces were able to overcome much larger and well-fortified armies. Once they gained momentum, they struck with such force that the enemy was often unable to regroup and mount an effective defense. The key to success here was maintaining that momentum, keeping the enemy off balance, and refusing to allow them time to recover. But it's not only about maintaining a physical force. Momentum also applies to social movements, political campaigns, and even individual careers. Have you ever noticed how an idea, once it gains traction, can snowball into something massive? That's momentum in action. Think about the rise of social media platforms, where a simple idea suddenly explodes into a global phenomenon. The more attention it receives, the harder it becomes to stop. Sun Tzu was clear. Once you have the upper hand, press forward. Relentless momentum can break even the toughest defenses. But how do you manage the risk of overextending and losing control? Momentum can be both your greatest ally and your most dangerous enemy. Yet, the loss of momentum is inevitable in some cases. What happens when the tide turns and the momentum shifts against you? Let's explore how to recognize when your advantage is slipping away and how to regain control. One of the most iconic principles in Sun Tzu's The Art of War is the power of deception. All warfare is based on deception, he writes, emphasizing how the element of surprise can tilt the battlefield in your favor. This strategy, when done correctly, can make even the most formidable opponent feel uncertain and out of control. But how does one effectively deceive an enemy without being caught in their own trap? The answer lies in subtlety. Consider the famous Trojan horse story from Greek mythology. The Greeks, in a clever act of deception, left behind a massive wooden horse filled with soldiers, tricking the Trojans into bringing it inside their walls. Once night fell, the Greeks emerged and overpowered the Trojans, conquering the city. The Trojan horse wasn't just a clever tactic, it was the embodiment of Sun Tzu's principle of using an enemy's confidence against them. By creating a false sense of security, the Greeks turned their enemies' strengths into vulnerabilities. This principle doesn't just apply to war. In the corporate world, companies use similar tactics, whether it's through misleading marketing to misdirect competitors or through creating false demand for a product to spike interest. Did you know that some of the most successful advertising campaigns rely on manipulation to generate curiosity, often by giving the impression that a product is scarce or exclusive? But deception is not without risks. If your ruse is discovered too early, it can backfire and cause irreparable damage to your reputation or position. So, how do you manage the balance of trickery and trust? How do you keep your enemy's eye off the true prize while keeping yours on the goal? What if the deception doesn't go as planned? Could it lead to your downfall? This leads us to explore the next principle: managing risks in the face of adversity. Sun Tzu was not only a master of strategy but also of risk management. He believed that victory in war wasn't about taking blind chances but about calculating the odds, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, and making decisions based on careful analysis. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight, he taught. In other words, knowing when not to take a risk is just as important as seizing an opportunity. In modern times, risk management is an essential part of any successful venture. Whether in finance, military operations, or even personal decisions, understanding the potential risks and preparing for them can mean the difference between success and failure. Take, for example, the 2008 financial crisis. Financial institutions that failed to assess the risks of subprime mortgages were caught in a catastrophic collapse. Meanwhile, other institutions that wisely hedged their bets or refrained from risky investments weathered the storm. Sun Tzu's wisdom here is clear. Understanding risk is not about avoiding it entirely but about minimizing unnecessary exposure. A good strategist doesn't gamble recklessly but instead evaluates the battlefield with a cool head. Do you know how high-stakes investors carefully analyze market trends to assess the risks of their investments? Or how military commanders weigh the likelihood of success before launching an attack? But risk management doesn't always guarantee success. Even the best-laid plans can fail. So, how can you minimize the fallout when things go wrong? This leads us into a deeper exploration of how leadership under pressure shapes outcomes in critical moments. Sun Tzu emphasized the importance of calm and composure in leadership, especially in the face of adversity. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity, he famously said, reminding us that great leaders rise above panic and maintain clarity of thought. But how do you keep your head when everything around you seems to be falling apart? The key lies in staying focused on the ultimate goal. In moments of crisis, whether on the battlefield, in business, or in personal life, it's easy to succumb to fear and anxiety. Yet history is filled with examples of leaders who, when faced with imminent danger, maintained their composure and turned disaster into triumph. One such example is Winston Churchill during World War II. Amidst the Blitz and the constant threat of invasion, Churchill remained unwavering in his resolve, inspiring a nation to stand firm. He understood that panic spreads faster than any bomb, and so, he steadied his people by embodying calm strength. Leadership under pressure also means making decisions that others may hesitate to make. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, President John F. Kennedy had to balance diplomacy with the threat of nuclear war. His ability to stay calm and consider all options, no matter how dire, helped him navigate one of the most dangerous moments in modern history. Did you know that many successful entrepreneurs are known for their calm demeanor in moments of high stress? They often say that their ability to control their emotions allows them to make better, more rational decisions. But what happens when a leader falters under pressure? When the weight of responsibility becomes too much to bear? The next segment will examine how Sun Tzu's principles prepare us for the inevitable challenges that arise in times of crisis. Sun Tzu's teachings are not just about winning battles, They're about managing adversity when things don't go as planned. He who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not, will be victorious, he writes. But how do we manage when everything falls apart, and success seems impossible? The answer lies in adapting swiftly and turning misfortune into advantage. Consider the 1980 rescue of American hostages from Iran, a mission that seemed destined to fail. When the initial rescue attempt fell apart due to a series of mechanical failures and an ill-fated sandstorm, the operation was on the verge of collapse. Yet, the leadership behind the mission quickly adapted, adjusting the strategy to save the remaining hostages in another manner. This flexibility, in the face of disaster, demonstrated Sun Tzu's wisdom. Great strategists don't just prepare for success, they prepare for setbacks, ensuring they can rebound quickly. In the business world, many corporations have turned their worst moments into their greatest triumphs. Apple, for example, faced near bankruptcy in the late 1990s. However, the company adapted to the changing tech landscape and revitalized itself under Steve Jobs' leadership. By shifting focus, embracing innovation, and reimagining their products, Apple emerged stronger than ever. But what happens when all seems lost? Can adaptability alone guarantee success, or is there more to the story? This brings us to the conclusion of our journey through Sun Tzu's The Art of War, where we will reflect on how these timeless principles apply to our own battles in life and leadership. As we reflect on Sun Tzu's wisdom, it becomes clear that the principles of the art of war are not just tools for the battlefield. They are blueprints for navigating the complexities of life. Whether in leadership, business, or personal growth, these principles offer invaluable guidance. Sun Tzu's The Art of War is more than just a manual for military strategy. It's a guide to mastering the challenges we face every day. From understanding ourselves and our adversaries to navigating the complexities of leadership and crisis management, Sun Tzu's timeless principles continue to shape the way we approach not just war, but every battle in life. Throughout this journey, we've explored 15 key principles that have guided warriors, generals, and leaders for over 2 millennia. And though times may have changed, the human experience has remained strikingly similar. The principles of strategy, deception, risk management, and leadership continue to guide us in moments of uncertainty and adversity. But how can we apply these ancient teachings in a modern world full of new challenges and opportunities? That's where the next chapter of the Great Chronicles YouTube channel comes in, where we delve deeper into the application of these principles in our fast-paced, ever-evolving world. So, as you reflect on the lessons we've learned from Sun Tzu, consider this. Are you prepared for the battles that lie ahead? Are you ready to face the challenges of the future with the strategic mindset of a master tactician? Stay tuned, for there's much more to uncover in the world of strategy, leadership, and triumph.